Welcome, everybody, to Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, aka Wishes Mama. And on today's episode, we are going to be taking another suggestion from our lovely Mom Street community. And this one came from our good friend Sarah, who you actually are going to see on our next episode. More about that in a little bit. But this one was kind of a hybrid episode that she suggested a little bit, and there were a couple other things with it that I wanted to include. So we are talking about catching a kid-approved vibe at Disney today. So we're going to talk about the Disney play areas, kid-friendly spaces, and chill spots in the parks where you can go if you need some quiet and want to get away from the craziness. So that is on the list for today. Now, I did mention last episode, and I'll talk about it again this episode, that these last two episodes actually have come from our Patreon account. So I put a post up there of asking people in our community for suggestions, and these were two that they suggested. So I love that I have been able to grab some ideas from over there to start off our 2026 here. So I'm super excited to talk about this. Again, we kind of got three topics here, so let's jump into the first part, which is going to be the Disney play areas. So this topic, I think, is super fun and kind of something that doesn't always get talked about when it comes to the Disney parks. You know, we talk about height requirements on rides, and we talk about what areas are best for what age groups and what parks and all that kind of stuff. But we don't really talk about like play areas, and there actually are more than you think. So I am excited to kind of spread some knowledge when it comes to the play areas at Disney. So we're going to start off in Epcot. Epcot has the most play areas out of all of the Disney World parks. So I'm going to kind of describe to you where each of them are and give just like a little bit about what you can find there. So starting off kind of in the front of the park, there is a little, what I would call a like technology forward play area at the exit of Spaceship Earth. So this is called Project Tomorrow. And there's lots of little like interactive screens and buttons and things that you can push in that space. So that is a super fun one if you've got kiddos that are into some kind of futuristic type exploration, if you will. Moving our way through the park, going towards the creations area, there is always a playground right to the one side exit of creations. So if you're in that building, there's like an exit on either end of the long kind of room that is creations, but the side exit, the one that kind of leads you towards Test Track, that is going to be where you're going to find this play area. They do kind of retheme it a little bit for each of the festivals that go on at Epcot, but there is always a play area right there next to Creations. And it is more of a traditional play, like climbing area. Now, you're not going to find swings and things like that, but you are going to find lots of like ropes and other things that the kiddos can climb on. So definitely a fun space to stop. My kiddos love that one. So they always ask if we can stop for a quick play break. It is in the sun, so be warned about that for that. So heading next towards the World Discovery part of the front part of Epcot, there is another play area at the exit of Mission Space. This one is super helpful if you've got multiple ages of kiddos that you're going to Epcot with, because you may have some older kids that want to ride Mission Space, but you may have some younger kids that are either not tall enough or just like not ready, right, to ride Mission Space. Like I've got kiddos that are tall enough. They're not ready. We're not there yet. So this one is really, really nice to have because the ride puts you out right in this play space. And it is more of like a traditional indoor play area where there's like climbing structures and things like that that you can explore while you're waiting for the rest of your party. Or you can always just head in the exit. And I should mention that about the one at Spaceship Earth as well, that you can just go in the exit if you don't want to ride the attraction to get there, because all of these that I talk about that are at the exits of attractions are all primarily accessed by riding the ride, right? And getting on the attraction and getting off. But you can also just go in the exit to access these as well. So even if you just need a little bit of time to get some energy out, or do something indoors for a little while, you can just go right in the exit for that as well. So that is a really fun one that you can go and run around and explore. Also on that side of the park, there is a little splash pad area, which our good friend Zach in the chat is reminding us of as well here on our live stream. There is a splash pad over there as well. So if you are prepared for a splash pad on your day at Epcot, that is a super fun one to interact with as well. Now, kind of heading over to the other side of the park, we're going to go towards the world nature side. And there you will find my favorite area at Epcot, which is the aquarium. So this is inside the Seas with Nemo and Friends building. Again, you can access it by either riding the attraction, which is so cute. I love it. It's got one of my favorite songs in all of Disney World, Big Blue World in there. Or you can go around the building on the left-hand side as you're looking at it and get in through the exit there as well. But this is inside of this building. They have not only aquarium things that you can look at, different exhibits and things, but there is also like a Bruce, the shark from Finding Nemo, themed play area where littles can run around and climb and explore. So I really like this one as well, just because it is, again, inside. There's lots of space to explore in here and lots of things to see. So it is one that if you have kiddos that love aquariums or like zoos and that kind of thing, this space is really, really good for that because there is so much to see. There are sharks, there are manatees, there are stingrays, there are sea urchins, there are all sorts of other things. So that is a super fun one as well. So after you have exited that, you're going to go kind of towards World Showcase. The next one that you will find is again at the exit of an attraction, and that is inside of the Imagination Pavilion where you will find Figment. So again, this one is the exit of the Journey into the Imagination with Figment attraction over there. And it is called ImageWorks. And it is again more like a interactive, technologically themed play area, but they've got like Simon Says games, they've got matching games, they've got games where you conduct the music with Figment. So lots of really fun interactive little stops in there. And again, you can access that by going in the exit or riding the ride over at Figment. Kind of continuing our way out towards World Showcase, we will find another one that is a little bit seasonal. So if you take the side path between Figment and the World Showcase, like port of entry, that's the word I was looking for. So if you take that side walkway between the Imagination Pavilion and Figment and port of entry at the beginning of World Showcase, there are always like 2 or 3 food booths over there. They've also put a playground over there in recent years, which I love. I think it's phenomenal. And again, it's more of like a ropes climbing kind of play area, but it's really nice to be able to, stand there, enjoy your festival food, let your littles run around in this little space that they have created for them to get some energy out while you're enjoying your snack. So I love that that has become more of a permanent play place over at Epcot. It's not open every day because it depends on what's going on with the festivals, but I did notice the last trip that I was on, that even when it was between festivals, it was still there. So that was really, really great to see. And then the other one that is a little bit seasonal is kind of backtracking a little bit back to Communicore Hall. So this is kind of back over, it's in World Discovery. No, it's closer to the World Nature side of things, kind of in World Celebration in that center section of the front part of Epcot, inside of Communicore Hall. So during Cool Kids Summer last summer, this was what was it? Goofy Core Hall or something. They renamed it some cutesy name, and it had a bunch of like interactive different games and things in there that you could play. There were cast members in there to like lead the activities with your little kiddos. And again, inside in the AC, a fun place for kiddos to go to get some energy out, especially if they're kiddos who are prone to riding in the stroller a lot. They may need to get some energy out as you go through your day. So that one, again, does depend on the festival because like for Festival of the Holidays, it's not a play area. They have that They've had the gingerbread spaceship Earth had been in there, so different things can happen inside of that space. It's kind of a multi-use area, but definitely look and see when you are on your trip if there's going to be any sorts of activities or anything going on in there when you're at Epcot. So that is kind of the rundown of the list in Epcot. There's not a lot out in World Showcase, but I will talk a little bit about that here in a moment when we talk more about like the kid-friendly zones at each park. But those are kind of all of the what I would call play areas inside of Epcot. All right, so let's move on to Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot to offer. Previously, when I've looked at play areas at the Disney parks, I would have considered the animation courtyard area a great kind of interactive area for kids. However, as I am recording this early February of 2026, that entire courtyard is under construction. So currently, there is nothing there for kiddos as far as traditional play areas go. Now, coming soon, I believe opening either spring or summer of this year, they are creating new things in that animation courtyard area. They are bringing back the drawing class over there. We're getting a new Mickey Mouse show over in the Disney Junior area. And there is going to be an Alice in Wonderland themed play area. Now, we don't have a ton of information about what exactly this is going to look like. However, we do know that it's coming. We do know that it is supposed to be Alice in Wonderland, so we'll have to kind of wait and see with that. But keep your eyes open for the opening date for that because I believe it's supposed to be pretty soon. So definitely something to look into when you're visiting Hollywood Studios. Other than that, no traditional play areas, but we will talk a little bit more about some other kid-friendly stuff at that park here in just a moment. Moving on to Animal Kingdom. This is kind of the same spiel as what I just talked about with Hollywood Studios. So currently, as the park sits, there are no specific play areas that are available. The big one that was over there was the Boneyard, and that unfortunately closed in the fall to make room for all of the new construction. As we're recording this, Dinosaur and that whole area just closed less than a week ago. So lots of new things coming to that Tropical Americas area. I don't know whether or not there will be any sorts of play areas in that space. So we will see what they add with the Tropical Americas area. I don't know for sure whether or not there's going to be a designated play area there. We can hope because I think that would be a much needed area for Animal Kingdom. The last park here for our Disney play areas is Magic Kingdom. There are just a few spaces in Magic Kingdom, surprisingly. Some of them, unfortunately, have closed recently. I would have considered all of Tom Sawyer Island to be a great play place for kids, but sadly, RIP, it is gone now to make room for the new Cars attraction coming to Magic Kingdom. So what we do have over at MK is all kind of focused back in the Storybook Circus area. So the first one is one of the best play areas that I think they've put in the recent years, and that is actually inside of the queue of Dumbo the Flying Elephant. So this is a space that when it functions to its full intent, it's almost like a wait for your reservation play space because they will give you little buzzers that you can use to go and sit and let your kiddo play. And when it's your time to ride, you get buzzed and you go back up and get in line. It's an amazing, amazing idea, and I wish Disney would do more with it because this one has existed inside of Dumbo for years. So I don't know, maybe Dumbo wasn't a good choice for them to put that in, or maybe it didn't really need it, and maybe Disney kind of gave up on the idea of doing that. But I so wish that they would put more play areas inside of queues or just more interactive queues in general, right? So inside of the queue for Dumbo, is a really great kind of climbing play area with netting, good for little kids to run around and play in there. And then right outside of the Dumbo attraction, kind of between Dumbo and Barnstormer in that space, is another really great splash pad. So inside the Storybook Circus area, this is all themed to the train cars that are bringing all the animals to the circus, and they've got little splash pads and fountains and things in that area as well. So, again, if you are okay with splash pads and you are prepared for splash pads on your trip, that's definitely something that I would take advantage of. But make sure that you're prepared for it. You don't want your kiddo to be walking around in wet clothes or wet socks and shoes for the rest of the day while you're visiting the park. So, those are kind of the main play areas inside of the Disney parks. Now we are going to jump to talk about kid-friendly spaces inside of the park. So that may sound a little silly, given that these theme parks were made partly for kids. However, there are some spaces inside of these parks that are more kid-friendly than others, right? So I want to just mention a few kind of kid-friendly spaces and activities that you can do with your kids that a lot of these we have mentioned before on Mom Street, but it's nice again to kind of have them all in one place, especially if you're someone who is planning on just like, again, chill vibes, relaxing day in the parks. These are fun activities you can do without running around, without having to wait in super long lines for any of the attractions. So, again, starting at Epcot, a couple different things to just point out. The first is actually an attraction, so I kind of am going against what I just said. But the first one is the Journey of Water attraction. This one is so much fun. Now, you will get a little wet. You can avoid getting like drenched, or you can get drenched if you stand in the way of all of these interactive water features. But this is a perfect place for kiddos to be able to play. They have tons of interactive little water fountains and things that you can control by moving your arms up and down. And it also teaches you about the water cycle, which, again, that edutainment factor that Epcot is known for can really be seen inside of this attraction. So that is a really, really fun one. That is one that once my kids found it, they're like, can we go back? Can we go back? Can we go back? Can we go back? They love it so much. It is one of their favorite things inside of Epcot now. So definitely a super kid friendly space inside of the park. The other one is just to mention because we talked a lot about at Epcot, the front of the park, right? In the play areas and things like that. But out in World Showcase, I mentioned there's not a ton of play areas, but what World Showcase does have is Kidcot. And inside of every pavilion out in World Showcase, there is a Kidcot station, and there are different activities and things that the kids can do, and they collect little stamps or stickers in their little passport book to show that they've kind of gone all around. They were on little postcards, I think, last that I saw people doing Kidcot. But it's a super fun, interactive way to just enjoy the sights and sounds of World Showcase. Take your time wandering through and not be, running to Frozen Ever After or trying to get on Remy's back in France. So, a super fun thing that you can do at Epcot. Again, we've talked about Kidcot before, but I did just want to mention it here as we're talking about these kid-friendly zones inside of the Disney parks. So let's hop to Hollywood Studios now. Inside of Hollywood Studios, a couple different places to note. Again, this park is really geared towards older kiddos, teens, that kind of age range. So not a ton for play spaces and like really super little kid friendly areas. But I will just mention that the plaza in front of the Chinese theater now is home to a ton of character meet and greets. So when they closed the animation courtyard over off to the side of the kind of main plaza area, they put a lot of fun characters out in that plaza. We don't know if they're going to stay. We don't know what the plan is for that. But for now, as I'm recording this in January, it's not January anymore, in February of 2026, there are lots of fun characters there. So definitely check that out. And if you want more on characters, last episode, I just went over all of the character meet and greet locations and who you can find where. So that episode is for you if you want more on characters for your kiddos. And then again, the other space that I will mention is that animation courtyard. It is currently under construction. Parts of it are set to reopen in the summer, I believe, for that one. So there's going to be a new Disney Junior Mickey Mouse show over there, and then the new Alice in Wonderland's play area that we talked about. So both of those are going to be really good for kiddos here in the future. We just got to hang on for a few months before those become available. Moving now to Animal Kingdom. Again, no specific areas for like little kids. They have tons of walking trails and different things like that, which we'll get to here in our next category, which are our chill spots that we're going to talk about in the parks. But inside of Animal Kingdom, just a few things that I will mention for your kiddos. The first is if you are visiting Pandora and you are going on either of the Avatar rides, there's a little section right outside of the entrance to Navi River Journey that has a bunch of like drums and things like that. That is a super fun area that the kids can kind of run around and play in. So that is a really fun kind of kid-friendly space inside of Pandora. The other thing that I will mention is that inside of Animal Kingdom, similar to we were just talking about the Kidcot stations at Epcot, similar to that at Animal Kingdom, they also have the Wilderness Explorer adventure that you can go on. So they have lots of different little stations for that all across the park. That could be at the front by the Tree of Life. You can find them in Africa and Asia, all across the park on like the walking trails, all sorts of places. So that is something that is super, super fun, super kid friendly. It's very easy to do without, again, having to run around. You will cover a lot of ground if you do it because you're going to be all over the park to get all of those badges completed inside your book. But those are definitely something you can do without having to wait in a super long line at any attraction. Now, I will mention with both Kidcot and with the Wilderness Explorer adventure little pamphlet or booklets that you can do, bring a Ziploc bag to throw them in because we got unexpectedly caught in the rain at Animal Kingdom. And while we were prepared with like ponchos and things, our kiddos' Wilderness Explorer books got completely soaked. And they were really bummed about that. We went back and got new ones and made it right. But just I would store them in a Ziploc if I were you. So that's my tip for that. And same thing with Kidcot, because if you get caught in the rain, those little postcards and papers are not necessarily going to make it through that, especially Florida rain, right? But those are kind of your two little kid-friendly spaces inside of Animal Kingdom. The last park is Magic Kingdom. This park, again, the whole park is kid friendly, right? But just a couple little highlights. Over in Tomorrowland at various times throughout the day, check your times guide because it's not all day long. On the stage, they have like a cool little dance party. Sometimes they have characters that come out. Sometimes it's just like a DJ playing music. It just really depends on what's going on in the park at the time. They did it a lot for Cool Kids Summer. This is also something that they do at every special ticketed event at Magic Kingdom. So the Halloween party, the Christmas party, those types of things, they will have like a special DJ and a bunch of characters over there. But they also have music that gets played over there just day to day as well. Usually in the afternoon times, if I'm remembering correctly. But again, check your times guide for information on that. But that's a super fun place that you could get some wiggles out if you need to. And then the other thing is over on the other side of the park, they have the Pirates Adventure Scavenger Hunt over kind of across from Pirates of the Caribbean is where you start that. And it's just kind of in that little plaza space around where Pirates is. And it kind of sends you on a little scavenger hunt with your magic bands. And there's some little interactive parts to it. And you can kind of, it leads you on a little adventure to make a discovery of some kind over there. So that is another super fun thing that you can do as far as spaces in the parks that are like super kid friendly to make sure that you have a way to do something that the kiddos are going to like. They're going to get some energy out and you don't have to wait in line forever to do it. So hopefully that little list was helpful of just a couple little things to remember to maybe add to your plans if you're doing a more laid back, not ride focused day at the parks. So, our last section of this episode that we're going to talk about are some of these chill spots in the parks. So, the approach that I kind of had to this is these are some spaces in the parks that you are able to get away from the noise and have a little bit more of a relaxing atmosphere if you are someone that needs it, or if you've got a kiddo that needs to get out of the simulation for a little while. Maybe you've got a little one that's napping in the stroller that you want a space that you can go that's not quite so loud. So that is where we're headed next. So let's talk about the chill spots in every park here at Disney. Now, the first thing that I do want to mention is that you are always going to be able to find a somewhat quiet space in the first aid centers and the baby care centers. Now, some of the baby care centers you'll also find like Disney movies being played for the little bit older kids. But those spots are good if you are like in a pinch and you need to be able to get away and you are close by to any of those locations. So those are always good locations to kind of scope out and know where they are. Anyway, right? Whether you need them for a kind of quiet inside space or you need them for like actual first aid, band-aids, or whatever it is that you might need from them. So those are always good places to keep in mind. So starting again at Epcot, some spaces that are a little bit more quiet. You're never going to find anywhere that's completely quiet and isolated at the Disney parks. It's just not possible, right? There are hundreds of thousands of people visiting these parks every day. So just keep that in mind. But a couple locations that I have found that are a little bit less traveled, the areas kind of off to the side surrounding the Imagination Pavilion. So if you're looking at the Figment ride over to the right-hand side, kind of past the entrance, there's like a whole little plaza area and then there's bathrooms around the corner. That spot is really good if you need to like pace, like let's say you've got a sleeping kiddo in a stroller and you want to be able to kind of pace, you can do that over in that space. So that would be a good one that I would suggest. There's a little bit of a walkway between the Seas and the Coral Reef restaurant that is not super traveled. So that space can kind of be a good back out of the main walkway area and just the Seas in general. I know I talked about the aquarium space over there, being like a good play area, but it also is kind of like a relaxing area. There's some spots where you can sit and watch. There's some places that you can just kind of meander and take your time. So I like that for that reason as well. On the other side of the park, the plaza between Mission Space and Test Track, kind of the plaza outside of Mission Space as you're walking towards Test Track, can be a little bit less traversed. People don't always come from that direction to go to and from. However, do keep in mind that over there you are going to be hearing the sounds of Test Track. So Test Track, if you remember, at the end of the attraction has that outdoor loop that it makes, and it can be a little bit loud when it comes back around. So it's definitely less people-y over there, but sound-wise, you do still get Test Track over in that space as well. Out in the World Showcase area, a couple locations that I like. The first one is the UK Pavilion Garden Courtyard. So I've talked about this one before, when it comes to we just talked about it last episode with the Pooh Bear meet and greet. So that is where you can find Winnie the Pooh back in that courtyard area. So I love that space back there as a nice quiet getaway. However, there is a band that plays in that little pavilion gazebo back there. So you want to make sure you're not back there when the band is playing, because obviously that is going to be an entirely different experience for you. But that is something that to keep in mind for that area. But I love that area back there. Super, super nice to kind of go back and relax in that space. There's also some curbs and benches and things back there as well, and a little hedge maze for the kids to play in as well, that we didn't really talk about, but that is another little good kid friendly space as well. All of the Morocco Pavilion, I think, is lovely for kind of getting away and getting off the beaten path of World Showcase. Lots of little shops to wander through and some different pathways with little benches and things that are fun to kind of explore as well. If you go back towards the back, they have lots of like little stone benches kind of along the walkways back there. I actually sat back there and did some editing and some work on my phone the last trip that I was at Epcot because I had some stuff I had to get posted. So I was able to do that back in that space, and it was really nice and quiet and kind of secluded and in the shade when I was there. I wouldn't be in the shade all day long, but it was when I was there, kind of in the late morning for that area. Another location in World Showcase that's got some really nice quiet space is in the Japan Pavilion. Off to the side of the pathway, there's some garden spaces and like the koi fish ponds and things like that. Those are all really nice spaces. A lot of those have like picnic table seating too that isn't used as frequently. Now, if you go during the busiest times of the year, there are going to be people over there, but most of the time that space is not overly utilized, so it's going to be a little bit quieter over there, a little bit more serene with the views and the gardens and the fish and all that kind of stuff. So that is a really good one that you can stop by if you need a break and you're over in that area. And then the last one is in the Germany Pavilion. And there is a little garden area in Germany, kind of near the waterfront part of the park, that I would consider to be a fun little area that you can, kind of get away from the main crowds. They also have the trains over there as well. The trains can be a really nice, relaxing area, but it does get kind of busy through there, especially in the afternoons and evenings. But like during the morning, World Showcase is a great place to kind of catch some vibes and not be in the middle of the crowds too much over there. So, those are kind of my suggestions for Epcot. Now, is that all of them? No. There's lots of other places hidden away in World Showcase. There's lots of other little seating areas and things that you can kind of find if you're looking hard enough. But you just got to kind of be aware of like, nope, that is the busy area. I'm going to go the opposite direction and kind of look around and see what I can find over there. So, that's my suggestion for Epcot. Let's talk about Hollywood Studios. So, at Hollywood Studios, a couple locations that I have found to be a little bit more quiet at that park. The area around Echo Lake. So, Echo Lake is where you find Gertie the dinosaur over on that side of the park. But those walkways over there tend to be not quite so busy as some of the main walkways and some of the walkways in like Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. So I like to kind of meander over on that side of the park if I need a break. Again, there are times where it's not quite so quiet if the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular is going off. You may get residual sound from that show happening, some, explosions and things. But generally speaking, that location and those walkways over there are generally pretty quiet. Same thing goes for the area kind of between Backlot Express and Star Tours. There's like a little plaza area where they used to do the Jedi Training Academy. That area is usually pretty quiet. So that kind of space over there. And there is some like planters on the opposite side where there's like a little brim that you can sit on as like a bench over on that space, kind of near the stroller parking for Star Tours in that kind of general area as well. Um, Kind of over in a similar space is the area that is Commissary Lane. So this is the walkway that goes right by ABC Commissary. So if you are at the Chinese theater, looking at the Chinese theater, kind of down to the left is that walkway. That one tends to be pretty quiet as well. And there are tables and chairs out there for ABC Commissary. So that is a good place that if you need to sit during, especially during non-peak hours, right? We don't want you sitting in restaurants during peak hours when you aren't actually eating there. But during non-peak hours, if you just need to sit and take a breather, that is a good place to do it, kind of over there. And again, that walkway goes from the Chinese theater past ABC Commissary, kind of towards Star Tours and the what will be Monstropolis in the future over on that side of the park. The other location that is a quieter area in Hollywood Studios is actually between two of the busiest areas in Hollywood Studios, and that is the pathway that goes between the back entrance of Toy Story Land, which is by Alien Swirling Saucers, and Galaxy's Edge. Now, I will mention there is a new seating area that they put over there that I have not seen for myself yet. So I don't know if that has made that walkway busier, but that walkway tends to be almost empty, even during busy parts of the day. People just kind of pass through. There's not a lot of reason for people to be stopping and hanging out there. Occasionally, there's a photo pass photographer over there that does some like magic shots against the one rock wall in that space. But overall, that space is a really good area. Again, if it's like you need to pace because you've got a kiddo sleeping in a stroller, or you just need some space to move around without being surrounded by a ton of people, that is a good location to go over at Hollywood Studios. So that kind of those three are my best suggestions over there. Now let's go to Animal Kingdom as we continue on our quiet, chill spots over at the parks. So Animal Kingdom, there are quite a few because a lot of these are the walking trails, right? So there are a couple main walking trail areas inside of Animal Kingdom that are often not as busy as the main walkways. So the main walkways at Animal Kingdom are what get you from ride to ride or restaurant to ride to attraction to show, those types of things. But these other walkways are actually really, really good for just kind of getting off of that main busy path. So Discovery Island, which is where the Tree of Life is, has several walking trails that you can find. And a lot of these you can find on the map, but it's also fun to just kind of wander and explore and go down pathways and see what you might find. That is one of my favorite things to do at Epcot. And some of these trails will actually lead you like really close to the Tree of Life, which is really fun to kind of be able to look up and see. All of the carvings and the animals and things like that inside of on the side of the tree. So that is a good one. The other two walking trails are the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, and that is near the safari. So most people end up on that trail because the exit of the safari kind of leads you there. But it is a really good one to kind of find little spaces to get away from the crowd. People don't tend to linger there very much, so it's nice to kind of just take your time, walk through. You don't have to feel like you're being jostled around by the crowds and the other people walking on the walkways. It's fairly chill back there. And then the other one is the Maharaja Jungle Trek, and that is over in the Asia section. You get to that past Cali River Rapids. So you take that pathway, go past the entrance to Cali River, and keep going to find that trek. And that is where you will find the tigers. So we've heard about Boxo, the baby, not so baby tiger anymore. Um, he lives out there, but other than that, that pathway is pretty chill. And again, you don't have to feel like you are being hurried through. You can take it at your own pace and just kind of relax and get away from the craziness as you wander back in that space. Two more places that I want to mention here at Animal Kingdom. The first being the seating area behind Flame Tree Barbecue. So if you know where Flame Tree Barbecue is, there's a seating area kind of down behind there that is not as frequented. It's not, it looks a little bit kind of off the path, and a lot of people don't realize that it's there, but there are tables and chairs and things like that. You're kind of by the water. You do have to be aware of birds, so I don't frequent this one because I am not a fan of birds. But that place is a really good one if you are looking for a quiet place to kind of sit. And they do have some like awnings to get out of the sun back there as well. And then the other one is actually one of my favorite paths to take at Animal Kingdom when I am feeling overwhelmed or like I need a moment to kind of slow down. And that is the walkway bridge between Festival of the Lion King in Africa and the back entrance to Pandora. So this is like a boardwalk style walkway that goes right along the river there. So you can access it by going past the bathrooms that are right down from Festival of Lion King Theater. And it will take you in the back entrance of Pandora. You'll come out kind of near, it's a pathway that will lead you kind of near Satuli Canteen. You're kind of right across from the entrance to Flight of Passage, but there's like some trees and stuff that are there. But that will lead you to that location. I love this pathway. This one is a really good hidden one that kind of not a lot of people know it's there. Not a lot of people use it, and I love this pathway so much. So it is a really, really good one to be able to take. And it is fairly long. So again, if you are someone that needs to pace or you've got a little that like needs to do some little sprints back and forth, this one is a really good location for that because it's a really wide pathway and it's not frequented by guests very often. So those are my suggestions at Animal Kingdom. Now, if we go over to Magic Kingdom, we'll talk about quite a few places over there as well for your chill spots where you can get away from the craziness of the parks. Let's start over at Tomorrowland Terrace. So, as you are going down Main Street, on the right hand side, there is a restaurant called Tomorrowland Terrace. This used to be a full quick service restaurant, but I don't think it's been open as a quick service restaurant in probably 7 years or more. But there is still a ton of seating in that location. Now, this is good for during the day because at night, this is where they host the dessert parties for the fireworks. So at nighttime, they will close it off and you won't be able to get into the seating areas over there. But anytime pretty much before dinner, this location is a really good spot. It's in the shade, there's seating and tables, all of that up in that space. Kind of continuing over into Tomorrowland. A couple other places over there. The area over near Carousel of Progress is generally pretty quiet, unless the Stitch meet and greet is going a little crazy. Then you may get some residual hangover from that. But overall speaking, that area is generally pretty quiet. And then also kind of in that same area, there's a hidden pathway that is between Tron and Storybook Circus. This is similar to that pathway I was just talking about at Animal Kingdom, but I love this back kind of out of the way pathway. It's not used very often. It's a little hidden because if you try to go that direction from Barnstormer, it looks like you're going somewhere you're not supposed to go. Like because it goes so close to the railroad over there that it looks like it wouldn't go through, but it is a phenomenal pathway to take if you need just a moment of a little bit of quiet. The train does go by there. You will get some of Tron going by there, but generally speaking, it's not super loud and it's definitely not traveled very often by guests. But I really like that pathway for that reason. Back in Storybook Circus, as we kind of will just continue our way around the park here, the Pete's Silly Sideshow area back in the back of Storybook Circus is a really good location. Now, it is currently under construction. So the character meet and greet that is normally inside of Pete's Silly Sideshow is currently going under a refurb. So some of the characters are out more back there. So it's a little busier than normal. But there's a whole tent back there that is just like seating. As long as there's nothing else going on back there, that's a really good location. Especially if you've got a kiddo that's maybe playing in the splash pad and one parent is keeping an eye on them and the other parent is taking your little baby back, in the stroller again to sit and relax for a little while. That is a really good location to do that as long as they don't have like the characters and things like that out in that location. I don't know the time frame on Pete's Silly Sideshow's refurb, but hopefully that'll be done here before summer happens for 2026. Back in the Fantasyland area, there is a pathway that leads from Cinderella Castle towards the Fairy Tale Garden area, which is where Mirabelle meets. This is the pathway that the wishing well is on. This pathway is not taken very often by most people. Most people are going out and around Fantasyland and not going by the castle to cut down through. So that is a really good location if you are someone that again needs to walk or needs a little bit of space. That is a good location to find that there. Continuing around kind of back toward the hub and Liberty Square, if you know where the Christmas shop is, the old Christmas shop, there is a whole little plaza area back behind there that is not utilized very often. Santa Claus does a meet and greet there during Christmas time, so it's a little busier during that time. But other than that, that space behind there, if you go around the building, generally very, very quiet. It's shaded, it's by trees, and you can see some of the water. You can get a little bit of castle view from there, but generally speaking, it is a very quiet location back behind Ye Old Christmas Shop. The last one that I will mention is a smaller little space, but I do just want to mention it that the walkways between the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction and like the beignet stand over by Tiana's, that area can be a little bit quieter as well. There are some little corridors, like the one leads back to the bathroom. And some other little spaces over there that can be a little bit quieter. If you are over in that side of the park, that's probably your best option. If you are too far away to get back towards like the Christmas shop plaza that we were just talking about, that is the location that I would consider for kind of a little bit of an escape. That one's not very great, but there's not a ton of spaces over on that side of the park that are truly quiet, chill zones over there. So something to consider as well. So I think that wraps up our little list here of chill spots. Now, again, that's not all encompassing. There are lots of other places that you can catch a vibe. I like the hub grass for that. I like sitting on the benches on Sunset Boulevard at Hollywood Studios for that. But those places are a little bit busier than some of the locations that we talked about today. So the goal of that list was to give you some places that were off the beaten path, away from the hustle and bustle, to kind of give you a place with your kiddo to relax a little bit and make sure that you were able to kind of find a little bit of quiet in the craziness of the theme parks. So I hope that these lists were helpful for you. Again, I encourage that if you're taking a trip to the parks, find some time to just catch a vibe, right? Just catch a vibe when you're there. Do something fun that is not always go, 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 go. Those memories can be so much fun for your family to have as well. Even if it's just running around on a playground or going through the Journey of Water with Moana or any of the other locations that we talked about, can be a really, really fun, special way to create different kinds of memories in the theme parks that aren't simply just meeting a character, seeing a show, or going on a ride, as fun as all of those things are. So with all of that being covered, that wraps up our Catching a Kid Approved Vibe at Disney episode. Coming up next on Mom Street, we have a really fun episode with our good friends of the podcast. Sarah and Ty will be making their debut appearance on Mom Street here. They have got some photo skills that they are going to share with us, how to take better photos at Disney. So if you are someone that enjoys photos or wants to capture the perfect family photo, that is coming up on our next episode. And after that, to be determined. We'll have to wait and see. If you've got an idea for a future episode of Mom Street USA, please reach out to us. You can find us, you can send us an email at momstreetusa@gmail.com. You can always comment on our Patreon account, which is at Mom Street. I've got a post up there still that is asking for suggestions for future episodes. So you can always put something there, or you can always send us a message. We are at Mom Street USA on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of those good places. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode of Mom Street USA, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.